Good day everyone, I am Teacher Rodney and welcome to my channel. I know that science is one of the most interesting yet challenging subjects in school, but our present situation in this new normal in education makes it more difficult for us to learn the subject, especially that we have a very limited opportunity to explore, to investigate, and to experiment. That's why I have created this channel to at least help you in your studies now that you are studying online and working on your modules. So kung bago ka pa lang sa channel ko, bago pa lang pala yung channel ko, so do not forget to subscribe to my channel to be updated with my latest videos. And before we start with our discussion for today, konting trivia lang muna. Do you know how big is your heart? Well, scientists say that our heart is approximately as big as our closed fist. Yes, tama po. Kung gaano daw kalaki ang ating mga kamao, ay ganun din daw kalaki ang ating mga puso. And do you also know that octopus has 3 hearts? Yes, 3 po ang puso nila. Pero ang tao, isa lang. Kaya syempre, sa isang tao lang din dapat binibigay, di ba? So, if you wanted to know more about our heart, the human heart, please continue watching until the end of this video. Let's go! At the end of the lesson, you are expected to identify the parts of the heart, give the function of each part, and trace the flow of the blood inside the heart. This is a diagram showing you the parts of the human heart. The heart is a muscular pumping organ. It pumps blood throughout the body. Without it, oxygen-rich blood will not be delivered to our cells. Now let us try to know the different parts of the heart. There are 4 chambers in our human heart. We have the right atrium, the right ventricle, the left atrium, and the left ventricle. As you can see, there are 2 atria, the right and the left atria. These atria are called the receiving chambers of the heart. There are also 2 ventricles, the left and the right ventricles. Ventricles are called the pumping chambers of the heart. The right atrium receives the deoxygenated blood from different parts of the body. The right ventricle pumps the deoxygenated blood from the heart to the lungs for oxygenation. The left atrium receives the oxygenated blood from the lungs. And the left ventricle pumps oxygenated blood from the heart to the different parts of the body. There are also valves in the heart. When we say valve, it is a part of the heart that opens to allow the blood to flow and closes to prevent its backflow. There are 4 valves in the heart: the tricuspid valve, the pulmonary valve, the aortic valve, and the mitral or bicuspid valve. The tricuspid valve is the valve between the right atrium and the right ventricle. The pulmonary valve is the valve between the right ventricle and the pulmonary artery. The aortic valve is the valve between the left ventricle and the aorta. And the mitral valve or the bicuspid valve is the valve between the left atrium and the left ventricle. The different blood vessels in the heart include the inferior and the superior vena cava, the pulmonary artery, pulmonary veins, and aorta. The superior vena cava carries the oxygenated blood from the upper part of the body to the heart, while the inferior vena cava carries the oxygenated blood from the lower part of the body to the heart. The pulmonary artery carries the deoxygenated blood from the heart to the lungs. Then, the pulmonary veins carry oxygenated blood from the lungs to the heart. And finally, the aorta, the largest artery, carries oxygenated blood from the heart to the rest of the body. Let us trace the pathways of the blood in the heart. First is the right atrium. The deoxygenated blood from the different parts of the body enters the heart through the inferior and superior vena cava and is received by the right atrium. Once the right atrium is filled, the tricuspid valve opens and the deoxygenated blood flows down to the right ventricle. Once the right ventricle is filled with blood, it will pump the blood out as the pulmonary valve opens. Pulmonary arteries will carry the deoxygenated blood to the lungs. The lungs will remove the carbon dioxide from the blood and will supply the blood with oxygen. We now call it oxygenated blood. The oxygenated blood will be carried by the pulmonary veins back to the heart and will be received by the left atrium. Once the left atrium is filled with oxygenated blood, the bicuspid valve opens so the blood will move down to the left ventricle. Once the left ventricle is filled with oxygenated blood, it will pump the blood out of the heart. The aortic valve will open and the blood will pass through the aorta, the largest artery, which will carry the oxygenated blood to the cells of the different parts of the body. The blood will deliver the oxygen to the cell and pick up carbon dioxide, thus will become deoxygenated again. This deoxygenated blood will again be carried by the veins to the heart. Study the animation to trace the flow of the blood in the heart. The blue represents the deoxygenated blood, or the blood that has no oxygen but has carbon dioxide, while the red represents the oxygenated blood that has passed through the lungs, which contains oxygen and has no carbon dioxide. In summary, the heart is an organ that pumps blood throughout our body. The heart has 4 chambers: the left atrium, the left ventricle, the right atrium, and the right ventricle. The atria are the receiving chambers of the heart, while the ventricles are the pumping chambers of the heart. The valves in the heart include the tricuspid valve, bicuspid or mitral valve, pulmonary valve, and aortic valve. The blood vessels found in the heart are the superior and inferior vena cava, pulmonary artery, pulmonary vein, and aorta. This is how the blood flows in the heart. The deoxygenated blood from the different parts of the body enters the heart through the superior and inferior vena cava. It will first enter the right atrium of the heart. Once the right atrium is filled with deoxygenated blood, the tricuspid valve will open, allowing the blood to flow down to the right ventricle. Once the right ventricle is filled with deoxygenated blood, it will pump as the pulmonary valve opens. The pulmonary artery will then carry the deoxygenated blood to the lungs for oxygenation. Then, the pulmonary vein will carry the oxygenated blood back to the heart and will enter the left atrium. Once the left atrium is filled with oxygenated blood, the bicuspid valve will open, allowing the blood to flow down to the left ventricle. Once the left ventricle is filled with oxygenated blood, it will pump as the aortic valve open. The oxygenated blood will then pass the aorta, the largest artery of the heart, and it will be carried by different arteries to the different parts of the body. That's all for today, guys. I hope that you have learned something, and if you like this video, please do not forget to hit that like button below, and if you want others to know about this, please share it to your friends, and if you want more videos from me, please do not forget to subscribe to my channel. Again, this is Teacher Rodney. See you again in my next video. Goodbye!